If you grew up in the West, especially in a country like the Netherlands, you were probably taught one simple formula: problem plus solution equals progress. Be direct, be efficient, say what you mean. In fact, Dutch people are so direct that even other Europeans sometimes call us rude. Belgians joke that we are arrogant, Brits say we sound blunt. I'm going to take you deeper than cultural fun facts, not just differences you can observe, but the psychological structure underneath them. I'm going to use examples and comparisons that make you feel how Chinese people feel in certain situations, while Westerners might not have the same feeling in the same situation, but they do in another situation. Because here is the uncomfortable question. What if the entire Western mindset collapsed the moment you step into China? Today, we're not talking about differences like drinking cold water or warm water, having shower in the morning or in the evening. We're going deeper. Because one of the biggest mistakes in the West is this: we assume everyone thinks and wants the same thing we do. We project our logic, our values, and our definition of better onto the completely different civilization, without understanding the cultural and historical roots beneath it. And Western media often reinforces this by highlighting Chinese voices that think like Westerners, presenting them as, this is what Chinese people want. But what if that is the distortion? In this video, I will break down the cultural foundations that shape how China thinks. I'll give you my personal view and whether this system is a strength or weakness. If you're new here, this channel examines China beyond headlines. If you want to understand how narratives shape perception, watch my video How You Are Being Programmed to Fear China that is showing up in the upper right corner now and in the description. Now let's begin with the first difference. The first difference I want to explain is that in China, avoiding conflict is often considered more important than solving the problem. Let that sink in. In the West, we believe confrontation clears the air. Let's talk about it. Let's be honest. Let's fix it. But in China, the first question is not, what is the solution? The first question is, how do we protect the relationship while dealing with this? Because in Chinese logic, conflict equals chaos, chaos equals danger, danger threatens the group. This mindset has deep roots. First, Confucianism. Society is not a collection of individuals. It's a hierarchy of relationships: ruler and subject, father and son, husband and wife. Harmony within these relationships is sacred. Conflict is not just disagreement, it disturbs order itself. Second, collectivism. You survive as a group. A damaged relationship weakens the network. A weakened network is vulnerability. This is a major contrast with the Western individualistic thinking. Third, phase. Every conflict produces a loser, and a loser inside the group is unstable. Resentment grows, revenge waits. So sometimes, and this is difficult for Western minds, the problem is sacrifice to protect the relationship. Because a broken relationship is harder to repair than a delayed solution. Let me give you a practical example. You want to renovate your bathroom, you receive an offer from a professional company. 8,000 euros, 1 week, guaranteed quality. Then your mother-in-law says, my cousin just started his own construction business. He's family, you should support him. In Western logic, you politely decline. You choose competence over connection. But in Chinese reality, saying no does not only reject the suggestion of your mother-in-law, you are rejecting your mother-in-law and her cousin. From a Chinese perspective, you are indirectly telling your mother-in-law that her judgment is poor and that her cousin is not good enough. I know it may sound exaggerated, but that is how the message is often perceived, and that ripple spreads. Now the relationship is strained. Your spouse is caught in between, future family gatherings become awkward. So you say yes. The cousin takes 4 weeks, tiles are crooked, the shower leaks. Eventually, you hire a professional to fix everything. Final cost, 10,000 euros, and 3 months of frustration. Was it efficient? Nope. Was it logical? Not really. But something was preserved. Harmony. Your mother-in-law kept her dignity, the family bond stayed intact, but you and your spouse had to sacrifice yourselves for the bigger picture. And here is where many Westerners misunderstand what just happened. You did not only pay for your bathroom, you invested in something called relational capital, what in China is often described as a web of obligations. You now hold a credit. One day, that favor will return. Western individualism isolates events. Chinese relational thinking connects them across time. And if you think this is just about family, think again. This logic shapes business, politics, diplomacy. If you want to understand how this cultural memory also influences geopolitical behavior, watch my video about the Opium War. That historical context matters more than people think. Now, here's where it becomes even more complex. Because harmony is not just about avoiding arguments, it is also about something called face. And this is where Western directness becomes dangerous. Everyone remembers the Zoom meetings during COVID. I'm sure most people have done it, especially men. Dress properly, but only from the waist up. Imagine this scenario with 50 colleagues. The meeting ends, you click on the leaving button, but you misclick without knowing it. You stand up and turn away. Suddenly, all 50 colleagues see you standing there in your underwear. Some start laughing loudly, others are shouting your name. You turn back and see yourself still on the screen, in your underwear, and 50 others who see it. You're so embarrassed you can't hit the red button fast enough. That feeling, the instant desire to disappear, is close to what public correction feels like in a face-based culture. Face is not just reputation, it is shared dignity. It belongs to you, but also to your family, your network, your entire social circle. When you raise someone's status publicly, you raise everyone connected to them. Here another example. You marry into a Chinese family. During your wedding speech, you praise your in-laws in front of the extended network. You compliment their patience, their generosity, their kindness toward you as a foreigner. To a Westerner, this is a polite gesture. To a Chinese audience, this elevates their social standing. It increases pride, not just privately, but collectively. The family, the friends, the fellow villagers, and their clan. Yep, clan structures still exist in part of Chinese society. Now imagine the opposite, correcting someone bluntly in public. You may believe you are fixing a mistake. They may feel publicly stripped of dignity. And that emotional weight lingers far longer than the original issue. This is why Western logic often fails in China. Because we evaluate outcomes. They evaluate relational equilibrium. And if you think this difference only affects daily life, wait until you see how it shapes communication itself. In the next video, we'll explore why saying no directly can feel like a personal attack and why emotional intensity in China is often invisible, but incredibly powerful. If you watched this far, you already understand something most people miss. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because the second part completes this framework. In part 2, we'll talk about indirect communication, hidden emotional depth, and why I personally struggle with parts of the system even while respecting it. And trust me, it changed how you interpret almost every interaction in China. If you only understand half the story, you risk losing face in front of friends and family. See you in the next episode of Dutch Rebel in China.